Well, hello and welcome to the Dating Advisory Board. I am your host, Jen Hecht. I'm so excited and very humbled to have Dr. Willie Jolly here and his wife, Dee Taylor Jolly, on the show this evening to talk about their new book, Make Love, Make Money, and Make It Last, 10 Secrets to build a successful marriage, right? So I'm very excited to learn more about it. Just want to give you guys a little bit of background on Dr. Jolly and Dee as well. Dr. Willie Jolly is a Hall of Fame speaker, award-winning singer, best-selling author, and popular media personality. He was named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International. That's impressive. That's awesome. He's also been indicted to the prestigious Speakers Hall of Fame. The Veteran Speakers Association named him a legend of the speaking industry. Dr. Jolly is the host of the #1 motivational show in America on Sirius XM. He has authored several international best-selling books, including It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life, A Setback is a Setup for a Comeback. I like that. Turn setbacks into greenbacks and achieve greatness with an attitude of excellence. And Dee Taylor Jolly is the COO of Willie Jolly Worldwide. She's also the Chief Learning Officer for Jolly University, which is a training and development division of Willie Jolly Worldwide. Before working with her husband, Dee was a high school teacher, a corporate trainer, and congressional aide. As an educator, she was honored as a Teacher of the Year with the D.C. Public Schools. She was a trainer for the American Management Association and the training director of the National Association of Home Builders. She went on to serve as a staff member to several members of Congress. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to get. I'm so excited. Take a deep breath. I know. I was just very impressive. I cannot wait to get into this book. So some of the questions that I have for you, number one is that I heard was you haven't had an argument in 30 years?
Correct. We've
Okay.
been married for 32 years,
need to
and we
be
have
very-
not had an argument in over 30 years.
You want to define argument so that we're
Speaking to the mic, D, you got to
You wanna
pull that mic
define
down.
Argument. Oh, down.
There,
You want
there.
to define argument so
Well,
we're all clear.
Yeah, argument is where you have an intense disagreement or fellowship. My pastor say intense fellowship, but it's intense. You might raise your voices. You might get angry. That's over. We haven't done that.
And you're disrespectful.
Well, not always. I won't say it's always disrespectful. You might just not. You might stonewall. Which means you say nothing. But an argument is where there's elevated emotion. It's very intense, and there's some visceral reaction to this disagreement. Would that be a good way of saying it?
Okay.
All right. And so what we said is the first 2 years of our marriage, it was hell on wheels. It was
Really?
hell on wheels. We were arguing and fussing, and we didn't fight physically, but we were fussing and fighting in the sense of anger and intense dialogue and stonewalling and not talking, and it was just drama. But we learned some principles that we employed, and the arguing stopped, the peace started, the loving really got going, and it's been great for over 30 years. And we then decided time to put those principles into a book so others can learn from us who might be in a situation where they're in a relationship that is intense dialogue.
So we focus on how to disagree without being disagreeable.
Right.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean, I'm going to make sure everybody clear. We argued, fussed, and fought the first 2 years. After we learned the principles, we stopped arguing. That does not mean we agree all the time. It's just we have figured out some strategies and ways to keep from having arguments so that the marriage doesn't go off the rails, because that's what happens often. They start with a small argument, and before long, everything goes off the rails. So that's what we want to do in the book is just, wow, the response of this book. Make love.
Make money.
Make money.
Make it last. 10 secrets for shaping a great marriage. And we use that word shaping because it's going to take some work. Like a potter
It's a lot of work.
takes some clay and has to form it
That is a
into
Good choice. That's
a
great.
beautiful masterpiece. The same is true for shaping a great marriage. So we're excited about it. We're excited about the response from just a week out. The phones are ringing. People are ordering all over the country. People saw us on Fox Television the other day, and the phones blew up. And so we're glad to be here with Jen Hecht and to be a part of this show.
Thank you. No, so can you talk us a little bit about the strategies? Can you talk about when people are disagreeing and, because you have, maybe type A, type B personalities, right? I mean, how can we, if we get into that situation so it's not, you're not talking or stonewalling, can you give a couple examples of some strategies that we can better communicate in relationships?
I think we should talk about Chinese food because that's
Okay.
Before we get there, let's start with the problems.
Okay.
The problem is that over 50% of marriages divorce. Over 50%. That's of every group, whether it's ethnicities, religions, 50%. Okay, 50% divorce. Then the next problem is what, Dee?
that 40% of those who are married are not happily married.
40% of the people who are still married after the 50% divorce,
Right.
40% of the remaining are unhappy. They are not happy in their marriages. So, we wanted to help people. And what are the big three problems? Sex, money, and communication.
Absolutely.
All right, that's why we named the book Make Love,
Make money.
Make Money, and Make It Last. All right? Because we wanted to last and want to get more better communication. We want to get better love making and we're making more money, baby.
That's
Making more money or keeping more of what you make. There you go.
So let's get back to agreeing to disagree and how we got there.
That's one of the big chapters. And one of the chapters we give away to people.
That is the chapter because most of the questions come, well, how do you figure out how you
We give that one away.
disagree without being disagreeable?
It's so profound and so powerful, we give it away. And let me just start off right now by saying that you go to jollymarriage.com, jollymarriage.com. And the first person in this show, within this show, who goes to jollymarriage.com and downloads that chapter will get the free book. Full book.
Wow.
Ooh, that's
All right.
Like a free
awesome.
book
How you
was
like that?
mailed
I like
to
that.
them.
Yep. How you like
Wow.
that?
I like that. That's a great idea.
Autographed.
Ooh,
So the first
good.
person who goes to jollymarriage.com, downloads
make
it,
sure you do it.
and puts their information in and says
And how do you spell jolly?
JOLLEY.
E for enthusiasm.
Yep, jollymarriage.com. Download that. Okay, let's rock and roll.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. So when you're talking about what inspired you to write this book? Is it based on overcoming the bad 2 years, but then making it 30 to help
Well-
other people, or were they asking for advice? And
It was our son.
Our son.
oh really?
Our son is an
He would
attorney.
simply tell people that my parents. I've never heard my parents argue. So our son is an attorney, networking, being very social, and as they talk about their parents and
Yeah.
what they're doing, and so many parents
Yeah.
of his friends are divorced, and he would say, what, I've never really heard my parents argue. I was like, I don't believe that. You're lying.
Right.
How's that?
Whoa.
So he encouraged us.
Okay.
He encouraged us to do it. On our 30th wedding anniversary, he said, we're going to have some friends over
Ooh.
to celebrate. Some of my friends over to celebrate your 30th wedding anniversary. I said, oh, how nice.
Yeah.
And when we got in, there were about 100 people who had gathered.
Oh
a few
wow.
little friends plus
A few.
Yeah,
Just a
100
few
people.
people coming over.
Right.
And between pizza and beer and just talking, and we laid out the principles
Yeah.
that have gotten us through.
Yeah. Can you give us one tip, that the one thing that you're seeing the most of or you're hearing the most that someone can change today?
Let me, before we do that, let me
Okay.
say, because I know this is the dating advisory
Yeah.
show. This book is for a number of different demographics.
Okay.
It's for people who are married. It's for people who are thinking about getting married. And it's for people who are divorced and potentially going to remarry so that they can go next time with better tools to make it last.
It's about the tools.
And then finally, it's for people who are not married and not even got a perspective yet, but they want to know what they need to know as they go down the path. And we have a special section, an additional addendum for single people on how to choose the right one.
Thank you.
Come on, somebody.
I mean, I have to ring that bell because that's so true. We talk a lot about it on the show is getting to know yourself. A lot of people will settle and just say, well, I'm at a certain age, or you have parents or other friends influencing. They may see people getting married, in their 20s. I mean, I know that happened for a lot of my friends too. And
Right out of college.
Right out of college. And they think, well, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed
Right.
to, get married and have kids and blah, blah, blah. But they're not really looking at, they didn't know who they were at that time. Right. Or they
And
weren't.
you change over
You
time.
change. Right.
So the answer to your question, what we were inspired by a son, one who said after the party he gave for us, God.
Maybe it's the rain because there's
That
a lot
might
of
be
rain,
it.
a lot of rain here.
But my son, he said that so many people were inspired by that night.
Yeah.
They wanted those principles and wanted to walk away and
And
delve
we were
into
calling them tips then. We suggested you this, this, this. Be friends first. Well, maybe I'm married and it's not my best friend. What do I do?
Right.
How do you become best friends?
Yeah.
So from one to the other, and then it moved from tips to the title of the book, which came from another one of our sons, one of our adopted sons, who works in the speaking business. And
Okay.
He said, "This is what I see."
Oh,
And that's
okay.
how we adopted.
Well, then, do you talk about friends, right? So let's talk about that. You said, why do you stress friendship so much?
Okay, chapter number 1 in the book. Secret number 1. Friends first. Friends first. People get married for a lot of reasons. Some get married because they feel like their biological clock is running out. Right. Some get married because their friends are getting married. Some get married because they want a green card. Some get married, and all of these people get married for different reasons. But we believe that the number one secret to a successful, long, happy marriage is that you marry somebody you really like.
If you like that person, you're going to hang with them.
That's right.
You're going to share your feelings. You're going to share the good, the bad, the ugly. You're going
Right.
to be patient. You're going to share those parts of you that you don't want anyone else to know.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's very important that
Intimacy.
you marry
Yes.
somebody with your friend. Why is that so critically important? Because it's hard to love somebody you don't like, 1, and 2. Think about who your best friend is, just whoever they are.
Yeah.
Whoever
Yeah.
your best friend. Would you agree that over the years, you might not always agree on everything, but because you're such good friends, you continue that friendship? And that's one of the keys to a long, happy marriage. You dig being around that person.
Yeah. You just
You-
they're about their energy.
Things in common.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
things in common.
share.
And they're respectful. I think that's a lot of, whereas, sometimes you get in relationships and you think like, oh, I've got to fix this. No, just be yourself and get to know that person first.
You
Right.
can be yourself.
You can
with
be
your best
yourself.
friend.
That's right. Dee,
Right.
speak to the mic, baby.
You,
I know
you
you
can be yourself with your best friend.
You got it?
Yes.
So you got to be friends first.
Right.
And we want everybody to understand the importance of that. That's why we stress friendship first before anything else.
Yeah.
And we've had one of my people we interviewed. He said, in the book it said, in the Bible it says, what God has put together, let no man put asunder. He said, well, often people get married putting it on God that this person, the person God sent me, when it was really circumstances that put you together.
Right.
You got pregnant, so you got married, or you
Right.
you needed a green card, so you got married. You needed somebody who somebody said you didn't need a woman got married to a guy because he had 2 pair of pants. Okay, he wore a pair
Is
of
that
pants.
true story?
So I don't know why people get married, but if you marry your best friends, your life will be ultimately and infinitely better.
Right. Yeah, and to be comfortable and not be scared.
Yes.
Right.
To tell them something because they're afraid of their reaction, or they're going to judge me or make me feel bad about,
Yes.
and that has happened. I mean, where you feel uncomfortable not to share, but you would share to your other best friends. Why would you not share it to your, spouse or your, I've heard that too.
And when you got your best friend, not only that will you share it, but they're the person who will be with you. They're your ride or die.
Right.
Okay, that's your ride or die. She my ride or die.
Right.
We in this together, and we made a commitment that this is it. So we're best friends. We do everything together. All right.
Yeah.
So that's critical, and that's one of the main. But what we tell you in the book is, how to two things. One, choose the person, and second, what happens if you're married and the person you're married to is not your best friend?
So you have to work on that.
Then we tell
provide
you how
strategies.
to
Oh, that's a good
befriend
idea.
that
Yeah.
person. How do
Yeah.
you befriend the person to make them your best friend? How do you develop the friendship? How do you find some strategy? There's some great principles in there that will tell you these secrets and will help you get there. So that's great.
Yeah.
We want y'all to get this book.
Yeah.
In fact, we tell everybody not just get a copy, get 2 copies. And if you go to the website, we give a special discount, almost for the price 2 for 1. Not quite, but almost, because we want to invest in these relationships so that you can be on the same page.
Yeah.
So when you read a chapter, you're reading it together. Not one reads the whole book and then the other one reads, and you got no momentum. You
Yeah.
read to each one read at the same time. At the end of the chapter, each chapter, they're life lesson learning points. And
It's
we
called
go-
Jolly Advice.
Jolly
It
Advice.
gives you particular strategies, and then you can practice that.
Okay.
That's why it's important that you be on the same page and reading at the same time.
Yep. Yep. So that is critically important.
Yeah, that's well, and then and also because you talk about breakups of marriages and 50% and 40% unhappy. I mean, what are the 3 or 4 issues that break up marriages?
Okay, sex, money, communication, and then often children. How to raise
Blending
them.
of families.
Blending of
Or
families.
not blending them
Okay.
effectively.
Okay.
But the big 3, no matter where we go, are sex, money, and communication or lack thereof. Those are the big 3. And that's why we want to help people through the book to get those under control. And they're important. And some of the things are things that people never talk about, like sex. Yes, they don't never talk about sex before they get married. Nobody want to talk about sex, yet it's one of the main things that breaks
I
up
don't think
marriage.
they don't talk about sex before they get married. They might not communicate what turns them on or what they need.
Right.
Right.
And you kind of think, you know what, I'm
They
going to
sh-
fix that.
Right.
or
I'll
that they
fix
gonna
it.
figure it out.
Fix it.
Yes.
No, there's no
And
fixing.
you cannot fix another person.
No.
That's right.
That's a misconception.
Yes.
I think and a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's fine. I can change them. I've got this. They're work in progress. No, they don't change, and usually they get worse.
So
Right,
we
and
go
this-
into great
become
detail
more of
about
more of
yeah,
who
we
they
go
are.
into great detail about the sex part and the fact that sex and the way it's handled is different for men than for women.
Absolutely.
Sex versus intimacy.
Thank
Sex
you. That's a
versus
huge deal.
intimacy. So let me give this tip to all of the men. Brothers, wherever you may be, I want you to remember that women need 2 things. They need 2 things, and it's critical. It's critical. They need intimacy and security. They want to feel secure that you got them. Okay? So you've got to focus on intimacy. And someone asked on television, does that mean foreplay? No. Intimacy means you're thinking of that person and working on the intimacy from early in the morning.
It's thoughtfulness.
Right.
In
Tell us some of the
very
things we
little
do.
ways
Why don't
that
you give
does
some
not
examples?
require the spending of any money.
Why don't you give some examples?
An email, a text, I'm thinking about you, you cross my mind.
Yes. Or you look beautiful today.
Oh, you look great. Yeah. Or I was just thinking about you.
I mean, like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or-
that's awesome. I
Or
mean-
we work together.
Yeah.
He's on one side of the office and I'm on the other. So he might bring me a cup of coffee. It's midday.
Yeah.
How about a cup of coffee?
Yeah. Or
You know,
your
how
little note.
thoughtful. Yeah.
Right, a little note, like a post-it
Right,
note. I mean,
right.
you write them for your kids.
So that
Their
makes me
lunches.
want to be close. It's tender. And so he's working on me. So by the time we get to the end of the day, the evening, and we've relaxed, he wants sex. I'm inclined because he's been sweet and tender to me all day.
Right.
All right. So, gentlemen, you got that? Now, ladies,
Oh.
what do men need? They need 2 things: sex and respect.
And we don't know which is first.
I don't know which one is more important. Men need sex. It's physical. Men need sex. and they typically need a whole lot of it. So that's just what it is. Men, they did a study. We talk about the studies in the book that were done that show how a man's brain is configured. And sex takes up a big part of his brain. Men think about sex a lot during the day.
About 17 times during the day?
Yes.
At least?
At least.
Not
17
women.
times. Women, I think, well, 1 or 2, but men,
Yes.
17 times. It consumes them. As one of the guys in a men's group meeting I went to one time, he said, sex is not the question. Sex is not the answer. The answer is yes. Okay?
Yes. It's just
Yes. Your answer is yes. Sex is the question, not the answer. And so what we want to encourage women to understand is sex is critically important to men. Now, in the book, we tell the story of my friend Jane Herlong. And it's a powerful story. On her wedding night, her mama said to her when they were leaving the church, "Baby, remember this, and remember this for the rest of your life. Don't ever tell that lie that you've got a headache. Because when you tell that lie that you've got a headache, remember there's a woman somewhere with an aspirin in their pocketbook."
Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
And so my friend Bradley recently said to me after he heard that, he said, "Now I walk around with a little jar of aspirin. And when my wife, when I see her, I say, I show that little aspirin."
That's really good.
So folks, sex is critically important. Women need intimacy and security. Men need sex and respect.
But if
And
you're not communicating effectively, none of that happens.
That's right.
And respectful.
All right,
Yes.
and respectful. Let's talk about the respect
Yeah,
thing.
let's talk about that.
Because respect is, men are the king of the jungle. Okay, this is what it is. And so they need that feeling like they are the man of the house. And when you start to take that away from them, it impacts their esteem and their feeling about themselves. When I married my wife, I told her, I said, I need to be the head of this household.
At least let me think.
That's exactly.
And that's exactly what he said. I said, okay, I can do that.
I can do that.
I understand you. My wife's a driver. She makes stuff happen. She had been married before. She had her own house. She had her own her place. She had a fancy car. She had all the trappings of success. And so I come along. I'm younger, and I said, "Look, I know you've been a driver making stuff happen. Here's what I need. Let me think I'm in charge. Just give me the respect."
But he could say that. We could have that kind of conversation because we became best friends.
Right, you're
before
comfortable.
we started moving down the path of, maybe we could get married. You see?
Yeah.
So it truly was friends first.
Right.
And we could talk about everything.
Right. And you built that foundation
Yes.
first.
Right.
You
Yes.
built that foundation first. Like I was
Yes.
talking about earlier, most people are, they're already setting up, their storybook ending and it's date one.
Right.
Right.
And some people don't understand the importance of the commitment. So that's
Right.
one of the big ones that we tell people that it is critically important in the book that you make the commitment that this is it. Okay, so first you choose well.
Right.
And second, you commit to staying here through the challenges. There will be challenges.
Yeah.
There are going to be challenges. And what happens is people get married with a mindset of, I'll give it a try. No.
Like,
When
it's easy, it's fine.
Oh, it's
I mean,
fine.
if it doesn't work out,
no,
so
that's,
no.
that's not that kind of party.
It always
No.
looked greener on the other side.
Right. So when I married my wife, I told her, this is forever. The only way out of this is you die. If you die, you out. You're good. Okay? I die, I'm out. I'm good. Other than that, we in this, and we will work through the challenges.
So
we
we're
will work
in
through
the boat
problem.
together.
We're in the boat together.
So we have to learn how to row together.
Now, there are times when my wife says, you know what? murder would be on the list if I didn't look so bad in stripes.
And stripes. So, no, gotta work it out.
We gotta work it out. So we want to encourage people to do that. Again, I want everybody to go to jollymarriage.com. jollymarriage.com. The first person who downloads a copy of the chapter that we give away, you get that and put your name and your email address, you'll get a free
Physical copy of the
autographed book.
So make sure you do it. So we're going to take a quick break real quick, and when we come back, we got more amazing answers from these two amazing people on how to be successful in our relationships, and especially as how to shape a great marriage. So we will be right back. Hello, we're back on the Dating Advisory Board, and now we have Dr. Renee Allen who's joined us. Woo! And you have to stay tuned because her awesome show, Renee Allen and Friends, is up next, so make sure you stay tuned. Very excited.
And
I know.
Jen will be on my show as well with the Jollies. Yes.
I'm so excited. So we're talking about the book, and I cannot wait to read it. I mean, this goes for, you don't have to be married, but you can be dating in the whole realm of starting out looking for somebody, especially in your life. But I want to talk about one thing, especially from people who have like divorced, like myself, who are like, oh, I don't know, am I going to go down that marriage route again? And I mean, do you have some advice for that?
D can be the advisor on that, because this is my first marriage, and I told her when I married, this is it. But she had been married before, and she
Don't look.
Well, go ahead. Tell how we met and all the principles and so forth.
Well, she said advice first, so I'd say don't focus on yourself and fulfilling what you are about, and go after your dreams. And when you're in that right kind of space, someone is going to come along.
Yeah.
When you're confident, when you feel confident about yourself.
That's a knock on wood on that one.
No, and I will say then, we connected because I was walking down the street, coming from or going to lunch, and this man made a pass at me.
What a Jolly.
He made it fresh. He made a pass at me. Okay? So I was minding my business, doing my own thing.
Staying in your
train
lane.
director. I
Right.
was doing my right. So that's how we
So, but let me tell you the secret that I think is important for everybody to hear here, is that I had, as I said earlier, I had a lot of ladies, but they were trying to run after me. They were chasing me. They were trying to corral me. And what made Dee very attractive to me was she wasn't. And
I had my own life.
She
Right.
was very
You're busy.
comfortable in her
Yeah.
own skin. She was very comfortable with her life, and it was attractive as well as intriguing. And so I think that's one of the things that I would encourage people: be happy with self. Be really good with, I'm good with me being here. And then the person will come along. Now, she had been married before, and that didn't work out. I think they were separated longer than they were married.
Longer than we were together, because my intent was to never get married again.
And so I had to convince her to marry me. She told me no so much, I thought my name was no. All right.
My name was no.
And so,
Love
and
it.
so
Oh my God.
we were able to get through that, get past that, get married, and that's been 36 years of us together.
Yes.
And of those, we dated for 4 years, and then we've been married for 32, and have not had that argument in 30 years. So again, just make sure everybody remembers my offer for this hour. We're going to do it per hour, because I'm going to be here a couple hours, is per hour, the first person in the top of the hour or during that hour who downloads the free chapter of the book on our site, jollymarriage.com, gets a free
Physical book.
physical autograph book. So,
Yay!
I love it. Yes, that is awesome. Well, I cannot believe the hour went so fast. I know, this is crazy. Well, I thank you guys so much.
Well, my pleasure.
For being on the show. And make sure everybody stays tuned for Renee Allen's show that's coming up next. And to make sure you go out and get the book. So you got to write that down. That's your to-do.
And again, we recommend getting 2 copies. We really do want. And so we made it so that we're willing to take a hit on the price for that. Invest in your relationship. Because we've seen so many relationships who we've had over our home or we've had dinner with who were struggling, and we were able to help them. We figured if we can help more through the book, then it's worth it. Taking less money so that we can help more marriages. And over time, as you give, so shall it be given to you. So we want you to get 2 copies, read it together, so you're on the same page. At the end of each chapter, stop, talk about the jolly advice that we give and the lessons that you learn through the chapter and what actions you're going to take to start to
nothing
implement
changes
those.
if you don't take action.
You must take
Yes.
action.
I love that. Must take action.
Jen, I wanted to say just one thing because Dr. Willie Jolly mentioned that he chased her. She didn't chase him. And what my grandmother told me when I left for the military at 17 years old was that never chase a man, because if you chase him, he'll be chasing someone else. So that was good, girl. Give me some.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
That's a great point.
And don't get
Tweetable moment.
And don't get all tied up because that one you thought was the one it didn't make it. Let me tell you that too. The Wally Amos said something I love. He said, men and women are like crosstown bus. There's enough one coming right down the road. Just hold on.
I know. And it's all at your fingertips on the dating sites.
That's right. That's right. And use
One
those
swipe
dating
away.
sites. That's right. I believe in using the dating site. We got technology. It's disruptive. What we used to have to wait for somebody to come along by chance.
Not anymore.
No. Find somebody who got some interests that you like, and then talk to them. Yeah. Just be friends. And I'm telling you.
Friendship first.
Let me see if there's any other thing I got to tell you about this book, chapter-wise, that we had. I thought the book was finished a year ago.
Why don't you run through the
Let me say this. I thought the book was finished a year ago. I started pre-selling it a year ago, and Dee said, there's something else that we need in this book. And I listened to my wife, and she was so correct and right about that, because a year went by, and that year we got some lessons, some insights from people who have been married 40, 50, and 60 years.
Even 60 years.
And we had one experience that was so profound. It would have never happened if I hadn't waited or I learned that lesson. It was the most profound thing about how and why people stay together for long term. So get the book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. Go to jollymarriage.com, get 2 copies, and get a couple copies for friends who you know who are married and struggling, and just bless them with it, because they will be grateful for eternity, because they save money on a divorce lawyer.
It can get expensive.
It's cheaper to keep it.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Thanks so much. Stay tuned. See ya. Hello, we're back on the Dating Advisory Board, and now we have Dr. Renee Allen who's joined us. Woo! And you have to stay tuned because her awesome show, Renee Allen and Friends, is up next, so make sure you stay tuned. Very excited.
And
I know.
Jen will be on my show as well with the Jollies. Yes.
I'm so excited. So we're talking about the book, and I cannot wait to read it. I mean, this goes for, you don't have to be married, but you can be dating in the whole realm of starting out looking for somebody, especially in your life. But I want to talk about one thing, especially from people who have like divorced, like myself, who are like, oh, I don't know, am I going to go down that marriage route again? And I mean, do you have some advice for that?
Dee can be the advisor on that, because this is my first marriage, and I told her when I married, this is it. But she had been married before, and she
Don't look.
Well, go ahead. Tell how we met and all the principles and so forth.
Well, she said advice first. So I'd say don't focus on yourself and fulfilling what you are about, and go after your dreams. And when you're in that right kind of space, someone is going to come along.
Yeah.
when you're confident.
Let me
When
tell
you
you
feel
from-
confident about yourself.
That's a knock on wood on that one.
No, and I will say then we connected because I was walking down the street coming from or going to lunch, and this man made a pass at me.
What did y'all?
He made fresh. he made a pass at me. Okay? So I was minding my business, doing my own thing.
Stay
was
in
a
your
train
lane.
director. I was doing my right. So that's how we
So, but let me tell you the secret that I think is important for everybody to hear here is that I had, as I said earlier, I had a lot of ladies, but they were trying to run after me. They were chasing me. They were trying to corral me. And what made Dee very attractive to me was she wasn't. And
I had
she
my
wa-
own life.
She
Right.
was very
You're busy.
comfortable in her
Yeah.
own skin. She was very comfortable with her life, and it was attractive as well as intriguing. And so I think that's one of the things that I would encourage people: be happy with self. Be really good with I'm good with me being here, and then the person will come along. Now, she had been married before, and that didn't work out. I think they were separated longer than they were married.
Longer than we were together because my intent was to never get married again.
And so I had to convince her to marry me. She told me no so much. I thought my name was No. All right.
My name was no.
And so,
Love
and
it.
so
Oh my God.
we were able to get through that, get past that, get married, and that's been 36 years of us together.
Yes.
And of those, we dated for 4 years, and then we've been married for 32, and have not had that argument in 30 years. So again, just make sure everybody remembers my offer for this hour. We're going to do it per hour, 'cause I'm going to be here a couple hours, is per hour, the first person in the top of the hour or during that hour who downloads the free chapter of the book on our site, jollymarriage.com, gets a free
Physical book.
physical autograph book. So,
Yay!
I love it. Yes, that is awesome. Well, I cannot believe the hour went so fast. I know, this is crazy. Well, I thank you guys so much.
Well, my pleasure.
For being on the show. And make sure everybody stays tuned for Renee Allen's show that's coming up next. And to make sure you go out and get the book. So you got to write that down. That's your to-do.
And again, we recommend getting 2 copies. We really do want, and so we made it so that we're willing to take a hit on the price for that. Invest in your relationship, because we've seen so many relationships who we've had over our home or we've had dinner with, who were struggling, and we were able to help them. We figure if we can help more through the book, then it's worth it. Taking less money so that we can help more marriages, and over time, as you give, so shall it be given to you. So we want you to get 2 copies, read it together, so you're on the same page. At the end of each chapter, stop, talk about the jolly advice that we
Yes.
give,
Great point.
and the lessons that you learn through the chapter, and what actions you're going to take to start
Because
to
nothing
implement
changes
those.
if you don't take action.
You must take
Yes.
action.
I love it.
I love that. Must take action.
Jen, I wanted to say just one thing because Dr. Willie Jolly mentioned that he chased her. She didn't chase him. And what my grandmother told me when I left for the military at 17 years old was that never chase a man, because if you chase him, he'll be chasing someone else. So that was good, girl. Give me some.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
That's a great point.
And don't get
Tweetable moment.
And don't get all tied up because that one you thought was the one it didn't make it. Let me tell you that too. The Wally Amos said something I love. He said, men and women are like crosstown bus. There's enough one coming right down the road. Just hold on.
I know. And it's all at your fingertips on the dating sites.
That's right. That's right. And use
One
those
swipe
dating
away.
sites. That's right. I believe in using the dating site. We got technology. It's disruptive. What we used to have to wait for somebody to come along by chance.
Not anymore.
No. Find somebody who got some interests that you like, and then talk to them.
Yeah.
Just be friends. And then I'm telling you.
Friendship
okay,
first.
let me see if there's any other thing I got to tell you about this book, chapter-wise, that we had. I thought the book was finished a
Well,
year
why
ago.
don't you run through the
Let me say this. I thought the book was finished a year ago. I started pre-selling it a year ago, and Dee said, there's something else that we need in this book. And I listened to my wife, and she was so correct and right about that, because a year went by, and that year we got some lessons, some insights from people who have been married 40, 50, and 60
and
years.
even 60 years.
And we had one experience that was so profound. It would have never happened if I hadn't waited or I learned that lesson. It was the most profound thing about how and why people stay together for long term. So get the book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. Go to jollymarriage.com, get 2 copies, and get a couple copies for friends who you know who are married and struggling, and just bless them with it, because they will be grateful for eternity, because they save money on a divorce lawyer.
I can get expensive.
It's cheaper to keep it.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Thanks so much. Stay tuned. See ya. I'm so excited to learn more from Dr. Willie Jolly and Dee Taylor Jolly on building successful relationships and how to shape a great marriage. So if you have not gone, you go on their website right now, jollymarriage.com, and make sure that you pick up your copy and get another one for some friends, because if the divorce rate's 50%, there's someone you
Yes.
probably know that.
And those
Somebody
who
you
are
know
married,
needs
So
it.
somebody needs it. So they
We
need
had a
help.
guy
Not
called
happy.
Day who bought 10 copies.
bought 10
He
copies.
bought
Yeah.
10 copies.
He's preparing to give them as gifts. We're like, yes, let's give them
Yeah.
as gifts for Christmas,
Right.
for Valentine's Day.
Absolutely.
Family and
Yeah.
friends and-
Developing good, positive relationships.
Yeah, and I think a lot of therapists need to go and buy this book
That's
too.
right.
I mean, they need therapists need to go on here and purchase
wedding
it for
planners,
wedding
meeting-
planners.
Yep.
Because they're practical strategies, not.
Right.
Sometimes you have people who speak in a language that's difficult for everyday, ordinary people to understand.
Right.
And so our strategies are born out of our own frustration and working
Through
through
it.
the challenges that we had.
Right, absolutely. And now, when you're getting advice to, say, the dating world, the folks who are in search of the right now, can you give us some examples, like what we should be on the lookout for?
For people who are dating? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Couple things. We got, as I said, we got a whole chapter in the back about people who are not married. For those not yet married, okay? Make a thoughtful decision.
Yeah.
You got to make a you got to think through this.
Yeah.
And you've got to do some thoughts beyond she look good or he look good. It has to be thoughtful. Life involves, here's what it says. Life involves many major decisions, but the most important decision you will make after the decision about your faith is who you choose to marry. The person you marry will be responsible for 90% of your misery or 90% of your joy. That person will impact every aspect of your life, so choose wisely. Do not make an emotional decision. Make a thoughtful decision. That means before you say I do, you should do some non-emotional thinking. That way you can make a decision in a clear, analytical manner. I had to make a decision with my wife. Now, I was a man about town. Everybody who knew me knew that I liked the ladies. All right, I was a man about town. And I loved the beautiful ladies, and I was friends with all of them. And I actually liked them. They were beautiful, and I went out on dates with them. But once I started getting to a point where I said, really starting to think about this marriage thing, I wasn't sure who I was going to marry initially, but I started thinking, and I realized that Dee was my best friend, but there were little cues, little keys, little red flags that popped up that made me realize I had to think through this. So I had been dating a lady before I started dating Dee, and the story is true. I was at my home, and while at the home, I said, I'm rushing around. She came by to visit, and I said, oh my goodness, I've got to get out of here. So I said, could you iron my shirt? She said, you iron it yourself. All right? Because she said, I'm not going to do that. And so I said, wow. So I ironed it, I ran out to wherever I was going. And so when I started dating Dee, and that lady and I broke up after some while, but when I started dating Dee, one time I went to visit her parents' home. We're still dating. Friends.
Long distance.
Yeah,
now.
kind of long distance.
Oh,
We go to
yes.
visit her parents. Her father was a pastor. And so that Sunday morning, her mom made breakfast, and we all had a nice breakfast. And then it was time to get ready to go to church. And I'm getting myself together. I'm going to get ready to get a shower. And Dee said, "Give me a shirt. I need to iron it." I said, "What?" She said, "Give me a shirt. I want to make sure everything's okay, and I'm going to take that off your plate. Let me iron your shirt." Ding, 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 ding. I make a little check here, okay?
I think that points up.
She had no idea, by the way.
No, that you have to know yourself first
Thank you.
before
Yes.
you can go down the path of, okay, I have my checklist. He has to make this much money. He has to be this tall. It has to come without children. You have to know what is acceptable for you in terms of who
You are. Right. You have to be okay with a reflection in the mirror
Right.
first. Because it does a
And be
disservice.
honest,
Right.
And be honest about yourself. I'm a driver. I'm type A. I'm anal. And so I have all of those challenges that I deal with in dealing with somebody who's an expressive personality and who's bigger than life.
Yeah.
But he helped me get a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And that was something that I was missing. And I enjoy being around him.
Right.
So I had to know who I was and was this acceptable?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
He enriched my
Right.
life.
And you got to think about that too when you're partnering with people, because if someone's like, "Well, I don't need to work on myself. I'm fine. Everything's fine." Well, no, I get worried when I hear people say that, because you always want to be growing and evolving. And
Well, I think that's the
Yeah.
selfishness, and you know what? They don't probably need to be with anybody.
yeah, that's
Since
true.
they're already perfect.
Right. Exactly. they are fine.
There you go.
There you go.
So we got part in here, a whole part about the 5-day test, the 30-day test, the things for people who are dating, just so they can start to get a little more clarity on how to find and choose, or not find, but choose the right one. You'll find.
No, if they're raising the hair on the back of your neck, you have to be. It's like there's something wrong with this picture. I've been with them for 2 days. We've gone out and they're getting on my nerves.
Yeah, I'm irritated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not filling my happy
Yes.
space. They're,
No,
yes.
I had called a 3-day rule, and I would go somewhere with a lady. Now this was not a big sexual recreation. Just going away and maybe going to a state fair or something. But after 2 days, if they're getting on my nerves, I know this ain't gonna work. This is not gonna work, and I'm not
Right.
gonna try and put a square peg in a round hole, and a round hole in a square peg. You
But
cannot
that
do
goes
it.
back to becoming friends.
Yep.
You like being around your friends.
Right.
Right.
You make them want to be better. It makes
Yes.
yourself want to
We
be
would
better.
be
Yeah.
together.
A
we,
team,
We
yeah.
went somewhere one time. We went strawberry picking down in Charlottesville, Virginia. And we were together for a few days at my aunt's. Just as easy, as peasy, as sweet and wonderful. We had a
Does
good.
not eat strawberries.
I don't even eat strawberries. And we had a great time, though, and I enjoyed my time with her. We talked about ideas. We had a great conversation. It wasn't dead space where we just like,
He had to talk about the fact that he doesn't eat strawberries because he thought strawberries come out of frogs.
It was a whole nother story, all right?
I love it.
That's a whole nother story. And so, but we just grooved, and once you find that groove, we just kept going. So that's why I'll say friends first, and then we tell people to make God an equal part of your marriage too. That's very important. Our faith is a very important part of it. We believe that marriage is a triangle, and that triangle has 3 sides. Of those 3 sides, you got 2 corners down here that have 33%, and you have 1 corner at the top that has 34%. So that makes 100%. And this is God up here, and this is us over here. So we run our ideas about, what does God say about this? How does this handle? How do we handle this? Because there are going to be things, times, situations, circumstances that come up that you did not have a plan for, you did not expect. Children, problems, money, issues. What do you do? How do you
So I
get through?
think that goes to what principles will govern
Yep.
your relationship.
What principles and what values?
Yes.
We got in
Or
values.
your values,
Yes.
Yep,
right?
yep. So very important. These are 10 critical points that we think will have a great impact. Another one is, we talked about decide to make it last. You got to communicate. You got to talk to each other. And we talk about how important it is to talk to each other.
Communicate is different than talking, though.
Yeah, talk about that.
So with communicating involves listening. So we have to listen more than we talk
Right.
to make sure that we understand exactly what the person is asking or what that person needs.
Okay.
And then you will want to perhaps restate, is that what you're saying? And then provide an answer. But don't start thinking about your answer until that person has finished talking.
Right.
A lot
We're
of
so-
times we're
yeah.
in a position where we start to formulate the answer before they finish talking. That's not good.
No, because you're not really listening.
No, you're not.
You're listening
No.
to answer. Right. You're doing that.
Right.
Yeah. Which is
And then you have the opportunity to marinate on it and provide a thoughtful
exactly.
response.
Yes.